Jesus's beatitude that blessed are the peacemakers. He was the great peacemaker of our time, always calling for dialogue, for negotiation, for an end to bloodshed and suffering. And he is going to be dearly missed.
You are longtime personal friends with Cardinal Parolin, who's the Secretary of State. I know this personally, that you are personal friends, since I was with you when Cardinal Parolin stopped a procession to recognize you, not me, you, after a mass that he had celebrated for 1,500 people. Cardinal Parolin is the Secretary of State. Could the Pope have sent Cardinal Parolin to Tel Aviv to stand in front of Netanyahu and say, stop, or to Gaza to stand in front of the IDF and say, no more?
It's interesting, you know, one of the Pope's major messages to the world is his encyclical Fratelli Tutti, all people are brothers. And he recounts in Fratelli Tutti, by the way, it's an encyclical that he dedicates to the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, one of the great leaders of the Sunni Islamic faith. And the Pope dedicates the encyclical to this Grand Imam. And he recounts there an event in the Fifth Crusade in 1219, when Francis of Assisi goes on a pilgrimage in the middle of the war between the Christians and the Muslims battling in the Holy Land. And St. Francis goes to the tent of the leader of the Islamic army to have an all-night discussion with him about the cause of peace. It didn't succeed, actually, but in ending the crusade, but it was memorialized and remembered 700, 800 years later as one of these events of dialogue across civilizations that can keep the world alive. And that's really what Pope Francis called for. Now, he was rebuffed time and again, as peacemakers are so often. He offered the good offices of the Holy See repeatedly for trying to end the war in Ukraine, for trying to end many other conflicts. He traveled even in his last years to war-racked countries like South Sudan to appeal for peace. So he was indefatigable in that cause.
Getting to Iran, which is the subject matter, will Netanyahu attack Iran if Donald Trump says we're not doing it and we're not going to back you militarily?
You know, the hold of the Israel lobby on American politics is so frightening, so terrifying, that anything is possible to drag the United States into yet another war. Our politicians have sold themselves to the Israel lobby. They're on the take. They take big bucks. They get big bucks. By the way, not only from Jewish Zionists, but from Christian Zionists. So just to understand, this is a lobby that wants to turn American policy over to Israel. And it has effectively done that for 30 years. The U.S. has gotten dragged into one war after another because Israel has said so. And by Israel, I mean the Netanyahu era, because Netanyahu has dominated Israeli politics basically since 1996. And he's pulled the U.S. into one war after another. Now, in the last week, it was made explicit by President Trump and others that Netanyahu is trying to pull the U.S. into an attack on Iran. the kind of attack that could start World War III. We should always remember Iran has a strategic alliance with Russia, for example, and Iran itself is, despite the rhetoric, a powerful country with a powerful ability to respond to an attack. And so Israel is, under Netanyahu, is an extremist rogue nation, but it has so much power in Washington because of how corrupt Washington is, that the answer to your question is he may yet succeed in pulling the U.S. into war. I think Trump is trying to resist it. This is the good news. There have actually been now meetings, negotiations between the U.S. and Iran that, by the announcement of both sides, are making some progress. Netanyahu's having a fit over this. No doubt the Israel lobby is working overtime to try to destroy these negotiations. So this is a perilous time because Israel's on a rampage. It is, of course, committing mass murder in Gaza. It is trying to engage in ethnic cleansing in both Gaza and the West Bank. It is expropriating violently lands also in the West Bank. It has invaded Lebanon. It has invaded Syria, and it's aiming for war with Iran. So, given that recklessness, and given Netanyahu's out of control recklessness within Israel, firing the head of intelligence, absolutely dividing his own country, but controlling our politicians, this is an extraordinarily dangerous moment.
The Israel lobby in Washington is apparently working in overdrive. The White House announced just about an hour ago the appointment of someone I've never heard of. Her name is Merav Seren, first name Merav, surname Ceren, to head the Iran-Israel desk on the National Security Council. Now, you might say, well, who is she? She's a joint United States and Israeli citizen and a former official of the IDF. Now, why would Donald Trump authorize Michael Waltz to hire a former official of the IDF to purport
of the Israeli Ministry of Defense? Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right. To purport to advise the President of the United States on Iran and Israel relations. What kind of advice does he think he's going to get from her?
You see, it's not even remotely subtle how the Israel lobby works. Why not just put Israelis into the National Security Council? We can cut out all of the middlemen, as it were. Now, who is she? She is Israeli-born, apparently dual citizenship, as you say. Apparently, I don't know that fact. She worked for the Israeli Ministry of Defense, no less. And then she showed up on Ted Cruz's staff. And this is how it works. Ted Cruz receives a fortune from the Israel lobby. A fortune. According to OpenSecrets.org, which records these things, in the most recent campaign cycle, if I recall the data correctly, more than $1 million from pro-Israel lobby groups. So basically, this is a scam operation. Our politicians have sold themselves out to the Israel lobby. They hire people who have, well, I don't know what she has, except that she apparently is an Israeli citizen who has worked for the Israeli Ministry of Defense. Shocking enough, completely unacceptable also for a president who says that his aim is America first.